I really do have to stop starting all of these videos with, man, guys, we've got a lot to talk about this week, don't we? But, guys, we got a lot to talk about this week, don't we? Let's talk about it. What's going on, everybody? It's your buddy, it's your pal Spaz Phoenix, the YWC Reality Check, here with your March 13th NXT review and house cleaning, as always. Somebody asked me the other day, why do I jam all the house cleaning onto the NXT review? Basically, it's the only thing you know you're going to get from me in the week. I stopped doing Raw and SmackDown a long time ago. I've been doing the UK stuff, but I've sort of put that on the side for now, just because there's other things I want to get done, topical videos, etc. But I figure if the flagpole of this channel is going to be the NXT reviews, that's where I'll give you all the extra announcements, let you know what's up, etc. But if we're going to do house cleaning, first of all, we got to talk about last Sunday. Last Sunday was Fastlane. We're going to talk a lot more about Fastlane as we get up into the build to WrestleMania, obviously. But with Fastlane came the Fastlane pay-per-view pick 'em, and I really want to take the opportunity to thank all of you guys, especially the ones that have been coming out the last couple of pick-ems and joining in the fun. I do think it's a lot of fun. The more people that join, the more paperwork I got to do, and I say paperwork in the loosest terms possible. But there's more people playing along with the Elimination Chamber pay-per-view and the Fastlane pay-per-view pick-em than have ever played along with us since I started doing this particular idea. I grabbed it vacantly. I stole this idea from the Taz show, and I make no bones about that. We are all three of us fans of the Taz show. Myself and Guapo a little bit more than Kristen, I think, but it's usually been myself, Kristen, Guapo, maybe one or two other people join in, a couple of the usual suspects from the channel, but I have had slight pickup in subscriptions in the past little while, which has bought me a lot more people playing along with the pay-per-view pick-up. I believe we have 18 playing along with this one. When I was averaging this time last year, maybe 3, maybe 4, maybe 5 people playing along at most. That is fucking amazing. As I say, it makes doing the updates on the night a bit of a nightmare. You know, just doing it and making it all fit into the 260 characters or whatever Twitter is. For those of you following along on the night, you will have noticed that all of your screen names were shortened, just because, again, to make it fit the Twitter banner, etc. But it was a lot of fun, and I kept up for the most part. I probably won't be doing live updates of the pay-per-view pick-em for WrestleMania. I'll tell you that right. I'll probably still do it for TakeOver, but for WrestleMania itself, we know how long WrestleMania is. We know how many matches there's probably going to be. Probably even more of you are going to join in, which will be fucking amazing. Don't get me wrong. But that is a lot of logistics as far as Twitter, and I'm probably going to be shit-faced during WrestleMania. I'm not going to lie. But here we go. With 23 points, we got WWE Fan 2019 with 24 points. We have Fortune 4 Shooters and the Alpha Winner with 25 points. We have Raiden Rollins and M. Salim with 26 points. We have Dr. Phil and Charlie Rant King with 27 points. We have myself, Guapo, Mizark 10, Melvin World Entertainment, and Matt D with 28 points. We have Brick, I'm going to pronounce this wrong, I apologize in advance, Brick House Otaku with 29 points. We have Kofi Owens, Hodge Johnson, Vince McMahon, apparently, as well as my co-host Kristen, which, if nothing else, means the ongoing YWC rivalry between Kristen and Mizark 10. The point this month goes to Kristen. Congratulations to her with 31 points. We have strifenineteen, and with 32 points, the winner for the Fastlane pay-per-view pick'em is Mr. X. Congratulations, you're going to see your box. Sorry, you're going to see your name in the box down below. Now, as I say, I appreciate you guys have jumped on this and obviously seem to think it's a lot of fun. I like doing it. Please continue. Also, please continue joining in the Q&A as well. Go back to January-ish time around the Royal Rumble. That was the last time I did a Q&A. You can put your questions for the next Q&A, which will be going sometime around WrestleMania, down in the comment section of that video. Now, switching gears once again, you guys will know, if you've been following me on Twitter, Instagram, etc., that I was at the WWE house show that was here in Toronto this past Friday, and you probably, if you've been watching this channel for a long time, you know, there's no video about that. There's no photo highlights. There's nothing like that, like I would usually do, like I've been doing, especially for the Destiny shows recently. There's a reason for that, guys. The house show that I was at on Friday And I haven't been able to say this in a long time. It absolutely sucked. I'm not gonna lie. It was bland. It was I don't know what to say. Even Ambrose McIntyre was sort of lackluster. It started off with Boston Hug Connection versus Nia Jax and Tamina. One of the more interesting matches of the night, and this will tell you how bad the night was Mojo Rawley versus Tyler Breeze. Mojo Rawley's new music is weird. Started off with him yelling at himself in a mirror, which was great. Walked out on the main event because the main event was Baron Corbin and Braun Strowman. So let's just not. And don't get me wrong, it's still fun to go to a show. It's still fun to be with the rest of the fans and meet people, high five over who's got the same t-shirts, all of that stuff. But the show itself was just not great. We had a tag match that was like Dana Brooke and Natty versus Lacey Evans and Alexa Bliss. And you guys know how I feel about Alexa Bliss. We're going to talk about Alexa Bliss again in a second. You guys know how I feel about Alexa Bliss. This match was terrible. It was absolutely terrible. This is me. I'm the one that stopped doing Raw and SmackDown because I want to come up and tell you guys about positive stuff. But the house show was garbage and it was cold and crowd wasn't in it. But I can't blame the crowd because there wasn't much to be into. But all of that ramble aside, the upside is we got the pre-sale, the Ticketmaster pre-sale code and link and whatever for SummerSlam. That's right. Anybody that's going to... I know we've been joking around a lot on OKFabe's live chat streams about trying to get OKFabe to come up for SummerSlam, but SummerSlam is in Toronto this year. SummerSlam, TakeOver, Raw, SmackDown. I'm going to all 4 shows. I got the 4-pack of tickets. I will be going to TakeOver Toronto 2. I will be going to SummerSlam. I will be going to Raw. I'll be going to SmackDown. So this is the time to get down into the comment section or get into my DMs on Twitter. If you're going to be at SummerSlam or any of these surrounding events, I'd love to get out there and meet somebody. Some people, I know Vintage Dream, again from OKFabe's live chat stream, says she's going. I'll be there. I'll have some company with me. I've already talked to a couple of other people that say that they're going. Not going to be like the big timing YouTube people out there. Oh, I'm going to get a meet and greet. I'm like, nah. If you're at the show and I'm at the show and we run into each other, we can high five, take a selfie, do all that cheesy fan stuff. It'd be really cool. It would be cool, however, for me, because I know you guys, some of you guys anyways, with the pay-per-view pick 'em, with the Q&As, with the other interactive stuff that I've tried to do on here, if any of you are at that show, I would love to start meeting people. I don't make any money on this channel. I'm not going anywhere, guys, you know that. But if the party's happening in my neck of the woods and you guys happen to be there, let me know. I think it'd be a lot of fun. Getting back to the topic of Alexa Bliss for a second, as I said, there's a lot of WrestleMania build happening on Raw and SmackDown, especially a lot of WrestleMania build coming out of Fastlane. But the one interesting thing for me, yes, I'm biased because I'm an Alexa Bliss fan, whatever, was the announcement that she is going to be the host of WrestleMania this year. Now, I think that's great. She is, I'm sorry, other than Becky Lynch, she is the best female on the mic in WWE. Please tell me anybody else on the women's division, other than Becky Lynch, I'm saying it, that is better on the mic than Alexa Bliss. It'll be great. And for those of you that don't think she's a good wrestler, and you're wrong, but she won't be in a match, so it's fine. But the same people that are complaining, would complain rather, if she was in a match, are now complaining that she's going to be the host of the show, and you're stupid. Now, if you follow WWE's social media, you will have seen the video of Nikki Cross listening to Alexa Bliss make the announcement from behind the screen in the, I guess, the dark corners of the gorilla position, and talking about how Alexa Bliss could be a new toy, she could be, Nikki Cross's new plaything, etc. I never get invited, Nikki never gets invited to parties like this. I'm never going to do an accent again. That was terrible. If this ends up being an unannounced match at WrestleMania between Alexa Bliss and Nikki Cross, not only am I a huge fan of both women, but it will be a meeting that is very interesting in the sense that these are the two women that NXT fucked up on. Nikki Cross, not so much as Alexa Bliss, but these are the ones that both got moved up to the main roster without even getting a chance to hold that women's championship. And you can say that without saying it. You can maybe mention it on commentary. You can do whatever you like. But if you get a match between those two women that WWE, or NXT rather, made a rare mistake with, I think that's a really, really cool story. And Nikki Cross just destroying Alexa Bliss at WrestleMania is something that would be cool, and it would constitute her proper introduction on the roster. Yes, I am saying Nikki Cross should win if that happens, even though I'm a fan of Alexa Bliss, but that's just how it is. And the very last thing that's got on this little shopping list of things to talk to you guys about is nothing to do with wrestling. Everything to do with Marvel, because you guys know I do the movie reviews on here every here and there along with Kristen. Saw Captain Marvel on the weekend. Got some opinions on Captain Marvel. Oh yes, Kristen and I will be doing a review on that hopefully sometime in the next week or so. We plan to do a video talking about mostly Captain Marvel, a little bit of Ant-Man and the Wasp, even though I don't really have much to say about Ant-Man and the Wasp, if I'm completely honest with you guys, and looking forward to Endgame as well. Now, I know haven't been up here as recently as I would like to do the stuff on the movie review end, because it is sort of a side dish to this channel, but I don't know, if you guys have seen Captain Marvel, you want to put your comments down in the box below. You got questions for us that you'd like us to incorporate, I'm pretty sure we could work on that, but I'm just mentioning it for the sake of mentioning it, for the sake of, hey guys, look out, at some point or another you're going to get more MCU conversation out of myself and Kristen, and it's going to be a lot of fun. You know what else was a lot of fun? This episode of NXT starts off, and I started off a couple minutes in, but it basically started off with a video package from last week going over the first round matches of the Dusty Classic. Black and Ricochet beating Marcel Barthel and Fabian Eichner. Mustache Mountain defeating the Street Profits. Mustache Mountain defeating the Street Profits is getting a lot of hate on social media. I wonder why. I wonder if they're Kofi Kingston fans. I wonder if they're the same ones that Vince got all riled up on SmackDown. Kofi's never had a WWE title shot, except he had one last month at Elimination Chamber that he didn't earn because he stole that spot from Mustafa Ali. Moving on. I digress. Forgotten Sons defeating Lorcan and Birch, which kind of bummed me out, and DIY defeating the Undisputed Era. And the whole thing is voiced over by the War Raiders, and just saying none of these men are ready for war, which is great, because the winner of the Dusty Classic, as we know, is going to go on to take over New York and face the War Raiders for those championships. It's all good. And they got that Viking, the torches, the campfire, the whole fucking bit there. Mustache Mountain, who I really like, and I'm super biased towards because I've gotten to see them both at NXT live shows and at Destiny shows, and just, they're great guys. I've actually gotten to speak with them for a couple minutes, and I think they're great. Versus the Forgotten Sons, who, to me, in my own brief frame of mind, I think these guys are still missing something. But Bate and Blake start, which is, you know, immediately for me taking notes. Bate did this, Blake did this, Bate did this, Blake did this. It's hell for me putting notes together, I'm not gonna lie. Blake works the arm drags in a twisting wrist block by Bate, snap vertical suplex, arm wringer by Bate, forearm by Blake, and a mudhole stomp, neck breaker by Blake, who I almost called Cutler, which is why there's scratches all over my notes, which is fantastic. Blake rides the Cobra Clutch for a long time. Nigel McGuinness goes as far as to say, I don't think he's doing it completely properly. His arm should be this way. I don't know whether that's something you want to do on commentary. But I mean, Ronda Rousey's going to pop up and remind us that wrestling is fake anyway, so it doesn't really matter, does it? Backdrop by... I'm in some kind of mood this week, guys. I'm sorry. Side slam by 7, chop block by Cutler. Cutler works on the knee, leg drop by Blake, and a knee bar. Figure 4 by Blake gets reversed by 7. Cutler works over the knee some more, while the crowd starts chanting mustache power. I don't know what to say about the NXT crowd sometimes. Somebody in the crowd tried to start the Big Strong Boys chant that they get in the UK, and it just, this is probably terrible and prejudiced in all kinds of ways, but it doesn't sound the same, and therefore it doesn't sound right. 7 and Cutler hit a double chokeslam spot, but then clothesline spot. They didn't chokeslam. They're not The Undertaker or, more recently, Baron Corbin, which is odd. Undertaker's apparently going to face the Demon Finn Balor at WrestleMania. That's the latest word. Anyways, Lariat by Bate. I don't know. Spent far too much time listening to What Culture tonight as well. Back elbow, back body drop and a drop kick by Bate. Airplane spin by Bate with both men over his shoulders. Then he head scissors both men to the outside and hits an exploder suplex on the floor. Corkscrew senton by Bate and a suplex by 7. Suicide splash by Bate. Cheap shot on the outside by Riker, who's out obviously with the Forgotten Sons, is enough of a distraction for the Forgotten Sons to hit that DDT double stomp, Devil's Drop maneuver. I don't know what they're calling it this week, but the Forgotten Sons win. They go on to the finals at the expense of Mustache Mountain, and I think that is it's interesting because, as I've been saying the past couple of weeks, you got to give them something because they're missing something. But I still think them going over Mustache Mountain in such a fluky way doesn't give them that. I mean, we're going to see who they're facing in 2 weeks as we talk later on, and it's pretty interesting. I'm not going to lie. But I'm torn because, as I say, these guys need something. I just don't think that a very, very fluky win in a tournament setting against a team that is almost universally loved in Mustache Mountain, I don't think that was the way to go. In the back, Riddle wants to talk about why he challenged Velveteen Dream, but he's cut off by Cole, who interrupts him, saying he will be the next North American champion, so Velveteen Dream doesn't really matter. Challenge gets laid out by Riddle. They stare down. I'm assuming they're going to face at some point. It's never clarified, so it's out there in the ether right now because I haven't read the I've read the spoilers, but only as far as the Dusty Classic and the unfortunate news that we all know is coming, not as far as other stuff. But that being said, we've already been teased with Riddle versus Dream. If we get Riddle versus Cole first, that doesn't hurt my feelings at all. Bianca Belair versus Io Shirai, with Shayna Baszler on commentary because it's a #1 contenders match for her title. She gets on commentary, she shits on everybody because it's what she does. I love Shayna Baszler. I'm pretty sure she's my spirit animal. Go in there, hate everybody, talk about how great you are. It's basically what most people think I do, isn't it? Belair and Shirai, #1 contenders match, and they start off, and I go into this match, you guys know how I feel about Belair at this point. I don't need to describe it to you guys. Again, great athlete, shitty gimmick. Let's just go. And Io Shirai is fucking great. Pie face by Belair and a collar and elbow tie-up and a quick wrestling sequence to follow. Belair misses a dropkick while Io hits hers, which makes me laugh. Facebuster on the steps by Belair, followed by a moonsault. A roll through double stomp by Io, a 619 and a dropkick. Double knees by Io and some stupid hair stuff by Belair. That is literally what my notes say. Double knees by Io, stupid hair stuff by Belair. A slap by Io, a Frankensteiner, wow, I cannot read my writing. A slap by Io and a wicked Frankensteiner. Knees by Belair when she goes for a top rope something, and Belair hits a spear, and I'm sitting here moaning, groaning, rolling my eyes, thinking we're going to get Belair too, because she needs another #1 contendership dropped in her lap. No, she doesn't. But Baszler, again, my spirit animal, once again, my savior, goes to the ring, storms to the ring, chucks out Io, and puts the choke on Belair. Chokes Belair out, she's unconscious in the middle of the ring. Kairi Sane comes down to save both of them, chokes Kairi Sane out. Io Shirai reassembles herself on the outside, comes back, attacks Belair, tosses her out briefly, strikes sort of a victory pose, and then she gets choked out as well. And the champion stands over all three unconscious opponents. It's fucking wonderful. What do you think is going to come from all this? We're going to get to that in just a second. We see highlights from 2 weeks ago, that match between Dijak and Keith Lee. It ended in a count out. We're getting a rematch next week. Yay. I might skip reviewing that unless something really astronomical happens, because I like both guys, but I don't care about this match. It's just one of those. I like Keith Lee. He's athletic as fuck. Dijak is interesting enough to be interesting, but the two of them together kind of go together. I hate to say this because I know how disrespectful it sounds, but the two of them go together like Kane and Big Show. And that's not what I want on my TV. Anyways, we get the announcement backstage while Shayna Baszler is being interviewed. Hey, who do you want to face next? Who do you think deserves a shot at your title next? I don't care. I don't care. I'm the champion. It doesn't matter. I'm going to destroy all of them. And then she gets told, well, you're going to be facing all of them because at TakeOver, it's Baszler versus Sane versus Shirai versus Belair, which doesn't hurt my feelings at all, except for the fact that all three of those people were in a tag team against her and her friends. And a fatal four-way is no disqualifications, so it's going to be her and her friends taking on all three of her challengers. I have to assume. We haven't seen Shafir and Duke much since that 6-person tag, because the story has more played out between Shirai and Belair, which is fine, but it means you got to imagine they're going to come back up out of the ether at some point. Our main event is Black and Ricochet versus DIY in the second semi-final match. Now, before I get into anything else, I gotta talk about Aleister Black and Lana. Now, on SmackDown, they had that weird 8-man tag thing that happened. It was Black, it was Ricochet, it was the Hardy Boys, and the Bar, and Rusev, and Nakamura. And Lana put out some weird thing, you know, taking shots at the other team. That she takes a shot at the Hardy Boys for returning for the 100th time. She says, you know, Ricochet does all of his flippy shit. And then we have Aleister, who is sorry, I can read. I swear, I'm not just tired. It's right there on the screen. We have Aleister, who is so ordinary and insecure, he has to tattoo his entire unoppressive body to fit in with the rest of these misfits. And his response is quite short, sweet, and to the point. It's interesting words from somebody who's 90% enhanced. Now, that's a good dig, and it's an appropriate dig, and I'll tell you why in a second. But some fan came along and said, oh, body shaming must be fun. Aleister Black has the perfect response for this. And he says, body shaming? Question mark. Oh no, my easily triggered and fake outraged friend. I am calling out the paradox from a person who wishes to do whatever she wants with her body, saying that what I do to my body is bad and I'm insecure for doing so. It's a pot and kettle situation. That is absolutely fucking true. I'm not going to go into a whole lot of societal conversation here, but what Lana did, what Aleister Black did, whether you like it or not, whether your particular paradigm or your particular context thinks otherwise, they're the same. The world does not see them as being the same because the world is fucked up and full of double standards. But people are jumping all over Aleister Black, and I find it fucking hilarious. The fact that he's short, sweet, to the point, calling out this hypocrisy on Twitter. He's not exactly Becky Lynch, but it's pretty fucking good. And in the immortal words of Scott Hall, one more for the good guys. Speaking of one more for the good guys, Black and Ricochet versus Ciampa and Gargano, second semifinal match in the Dusty Classic. Black and Ciampa start with a collar and elbow tie. They trade some strikes with some deep gut shots by Aleister Black with the knee, followed by an armbar. Standing armbar by Ricochet, boot by Ciampa, low drop kick by Gargano, and more chain wrestling to follow. Head scissor by Gargano, head scissor and a drop kick by Ricochet, triangle drop kick by Ricochet, and he and Aleister Black both do Aleister Black's sit-down pose. One thing I do like on the main roster when they fight as a tag team, they both bounce off the ropes, and Ricochet lands in that sort of superhero pose that he does, and Aleister Black obviously lands in the cross-legged position. The tandem is actually working really well, but in this case, they both landed in Aleister Black's seated, I guess you could say seated taunt, and it's just the tag team synergy between two guys that you wouldn't necessarily make a tag team out of is really fucking good. Slingshot spear by Gargano and a vertical suplex mudhole stomp by Ciampa, who hits him with a hangman off the bottom rope. Wishbone by DIY and a neckbreaker by Gargano. Neckbreaker by Ciampa to follow up, and then Ciampa does the sit down taunt to Black, who's going nuts on the outside. I love that. It's simple, it's basic, but that's why it works. Boots by Gargano, stomps on the arm, side headlock by Ciampa, boot and an enziguri by Gargano, lariat by Gargano, running knee by Ciampa, neckbreaker DDT combination by Ricochet, basically throws his two opponents into each other so that when he neckbreakers one, it ends up DDTing the other. It's a nice little, it's one of those contrived wrestling spots that is absolutely, definitely staged and choreographed, and that's probably what Ronda Rousey would point at when she talks about Becky Lynch wanting to have a penis, because that's not problematic. Anyway, it's a nice spot, is my point. Back elbows by Black, knees and a crossbody, boot by Black, kick in the back of the head by Gargano, and all of Gargano's kicks are just stiff, aren't they? Especially when he's being a little bit of a bastard. Brainbuster by Black and a back elbow, super kick by Gargano, high knee by Black, suspension neckbreaker on the apron by Ciampa, and how dirty did that look? Slingshot DDT by Gargano, and here is where it gets really fun. Not what happens after, but this is where it gets really fun in the match. Gargano locks in the Gargano escape on Aleister Black. Ricochet tries to get in there, tries to break it up, and Ciampa cuts him off and puts him in that really, really arching armbar thing that he does. Now here's where it gets cool. Gargano's got the Gargano escape on Aleister. Ricochet's caught in that armbar. Ricochet reverses it, picks up Ciampa, and sort of hits a Death Valley driver on Ciampa, but he hits a Death Valley driver onto Gargano, breaking up the Gargano escape, not only getting out of his own submission that was being applied by Ciampa, but also breaking up Gargano's thing. And the way he landed, he injures Gargano's knee. Gargano rolls to the outside of the ring, and I lost my place. But basically, Gargano rolls to the outside of the ring. Ciampa's going solo to win this match. Ricochet and Ciampa trade some strikes. There's a high knee by Ciampa. Black Mass and a 630 splash get the win for Black and Ricochet. So if nothing else, at this point, we know that Ricochet and Black are taking on the Forgotten Sons in 2 weeks for the finals of the Dusty Classic. I hope it's like they did a couple years ago, where there's a schmoz and it actually ends up finishing up at TakeOver, because I think the Dusty Classic ending on the weekly show, having the finals on the weekly show, is a bit anticlimactic. I may be biased. Last time I was at TakeOver Toronto, they had the finals of the Dusty Classic, but that had TM61 in it before they were really good. So, but that's not really the point. The point is this right here. Candice LeRae coming down the ramp to check on Johnny. Even Ciampa going down out of the ring to his buddy, seeing if he's doing, the band coming back together, all that kind of thing. I don't want to make a Shield comparison. I really don't. But the band coming back together, the fans going on this ride with Gargano and Ciampa for the past couple of years, seeing them back together as a team, seeing Ciampa hop out of the ring, check on his buddy. Candice and Ciampa help Johnny up the ramp. He stumbles on the stage, and as Ciampa helps him back up for a second time, there's sort of a bit of a fake out of a turn, but then Johnny makes the actual turn, shakes out his leg, shows there's nothing wrong, throws Ciampa into the screen, a la what he did to him all those years ago, hits him with a super kick in the face while screaming the letters DIY, screaming that Johnny Wrestling is back, and the show goes off the air with with Gargano and Candice LeRae grinning ear to fucking ear. This was fucking beautiful. Now, take away the other stuff that we don't know about, because this is a taping. Take away the stuff that we know is coming. Take away we know what happened, and I'm not mentioning it here. I don't care. This was fucking great. The finals, Ricochet and Black, who are a thrown together team, versus the Forgotten Sons, who are definitely still missing something. It's a little anticlimactic for the final of the Dusty tournament, I'm not going to lie, but when you think about the fact that the first Dusty Classic was won by Joe and Finn Balor, I don't think that's necessarily off the mark, per se. To sucker Ciampa all the way back in and then do this was fucking beautiful. I love Johnny Gargano. I think with what we know has happened, him not being on the main roster might end up suiting him in the end. The other two, Ricochet and Black, they're a tag team here, they're a tag team on Raw, they're a tag team on SmackDown. They are probably getting the most exposure out of any male performers in WWE right now. I mean, we know Becky and Charlotte are showing up on both shows. We know that the women's tag team champions can show up on any show, with Sasha Banks and Bayley making their return to NXT a couple of weeks ago. But these guys are in a good spot. I hope they win. I haven't read the spoilers that far, but I hope they win. Doesn't even matter at this point. Gargano turned on Ciampa, him and his wife smiling like evil little bitches as the show goes off the air, was fucking beautiful. So, anyways, to recap a couple of things I was saying before, if you're going to SummerSlam, let me know. I want to meet some of you guys. If you got questions for the Q&A, put them down in the comment section of the last Q&A. If you took part in the pay-per-view pick 'em for Fastlane, I want to say thank you once again. It's really, really fun for me, but it doesn't happen unless you guys hop on. We talked about a lot tonight. We talked about a lot more than just NXT tonight. This is the fence post of this channel, these NXT reviews. I've been Spaz, your YWC Reality Check. Subscribe up there, talk down there, start a conversation. Keep all these conversations going. Don't be a stranger. I will talk to each and every last one of you later, but for right now, I am tagging out. Bye, guys.
Like me, don't apologize. They can hold you down. You were born to rise. It's our time now to come out. If you're a freak like me.